Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is that you are listening, folks. Thank you very, very much for listening. Day today is the 30th of September, year of our Lord 2024. Welcome to yet another edition of the Goping Hour, hosted by Nicholas Inkle, a.k.a. Motanoa. We actually do have a big show for you guys today, and I got to tell you something up top, some really important setup. You guys know how we are around here. Love doing setup, love informing you guys structurally how things are going to go. So, we've been in transit all day. We got home from Michigan, I don't know, maybe an hour or two ago, and it's a 4-hour drive back to Chicago. It ended up being damn near 6, and so we're just gassed, and I'm like, I have a lot to talk about today, and I'm actually really excited for this episode, but I just don't have the energy right now. I was like, what can I do to up the stakes and to boost my adrenaline and really give me that jolt that I need? And then, boom, I had a light bulb moment. I had a light bulb moment. My sister, who I visited the other day, gave me some gummies. She gave me some 25 milligram gummies. So I said, what if I take the gummy right before I start recording, and then it's a race against time, and we see how deep into the episode I can get? Can I finish the whole episode before it actually kicks in, right? Can I produce a quality hour of programming for you guys before this thing absolutely kills me? So that when I hit record, I had just stopped chewing it. I mean, we're fresh off, what are we, a minute and a half into this episode? This just happened, all right? So, there you go. We'll see. Let me know if at some point when you think that you realize that it kicked in for me. We'll see what happens. Leave a timestamp down below. When did it kick in? When did I lose the fight? I'm committed to winning this battle. I'm not going to let it faze me. But I do feel invigorated. I do feel a lot of juice right now. So, folks, lots of stuff to talk about today. Let's jump right into it. A couple of nights ago, it was the most naked that I have felt in a considerably long time, because a shocking report comes across my desk that Karl Anthony Towns was traded to the New York Knicks. And the reason that I felt naked is because I did not have the means to record anything. Like, I could have done I said to Maddie, I was like, I could pull up voice memos and maybe I get something in the can. I was like, no, I just got to let this marinate. I don't have any way to record my thoughts. And that's just how I always do this. Those are the way that I sort of digest things and I process things. And I just talk out loud to myself about them, right? So, okay, bombshell, finally. Sort of a lackluster NBA offseason. Couldn't even tell you the last meaningful thing that happened if we're not including the Olympics, right? I don't know, DeMar to the Kings. That was pretty cool. There's something in there that I'm missing. But, okay, we have another bombshell, finally. About 367 days after the Damian Lillard to Milwaukee trade, finally, the drama, the histrionics that we love in the NBA has made its return. Holy smokes. Let's try to reverse engineer this one. Let's just talk it out loud and I don't know, take out our take detectors, boop, 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 and see what we like about this and what we don't like. So, okay, I'm the Knicks right now. Why does this make sense? Well, they lose Isaiah Hartenstein. He goes to Oklahoma City. All right. I'm looking at a Mitchell Robinson character who, I don't think Knicks fans are very sure anymore. I think a lot of teams are kind of, Pistons fans are ooh, maybe we take a chance on Mitchell Robinson. You know, him and Miles McBride to Detroit, send over Isaiah Stewart or something. That also bolsters the Knicks front court. Not really interested in helping them out anymore. They don't really need it. But, okay, the Knicks' biggest weakness right now on paper was their center depth, or lack thereof. So going after one of the premier scoring big men in the NBA makes a lot of sense. They had the means to do it. You want to know why they had the means to do it? Because your number one guy, your number one boy, Jalen Brunson, takes a historic and seemingly unprecedented pay cut. Unprecedented in 2024. Usually these stars are no, pay me more than what I actually deserve. And then, they hold a gun to the franchise's head and they hold him hostage and they say it's time to motherfucking dance. Jalen Brunson is so damn unselfish. He said, now I'm still not convinced that there's not something going on maybe behind the scenes. Dolan's got his hand in a lot of jars. He's a co-owner of the Las Vegas Sphere. I think we soft conspired on this show that maybe Jalen is getting a split of the revenue from the Las Vegas Sphere, but that maybe wouldn't make sense because it's a money pit. It's actually not making any money. It's losing way more money than it is generating. But okay, that's not the point. The Knicks were able to facilitate a trade like this because they saved money re-signing their number one guy. And then you look at a team like Minnesota and you're like, well, yeah, I mean, over the next 3 to 4 years, 80% of their cap was tied up between three guys in Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, and Rudy Gobert. And even, for as fun as last season was for Minnesota, where we were all kind of whoa, this is an actual, whoa, this works? What the fuck? This works? At some point, that second apron boogeyman that we've been hearing so much about, it's time to, well, I just kind of already made this joke, but when that second apron boogeyman has a gun to your head, it's time to motherfucking dance. One of these guys has to go at some point. It's not going to be the guy who you just gave up 5 first-round picks for like a year ago. It's not going to be him. The return on investment really hasn't paid off yet. Also, him being like an on-the-court defensive coordinator for Minnesota, there's just too much value in that, right? Okay, it's probably also not going to be the guy who is pretty high up there on the list of guys who could be the next man up in the NBA in Anthony Edwards. It's not going to be him, right? The number 2 pick from a couple of years ago, you're not going to give up on him. It's going to be the guy that you've been married to for like 8 or 9 years, and for like one reason or another, you're just kind of like at some point, it's just, you just got to go your separate ways. You got to get the divorce. Hey man, he's not in Minnesota anymore. That journey's over. He and Kevin Garnett won the exact same number of playoff series during their time in Minnesota. Whoa. That's pretty crazy. Now, who will Timberwolves fans look back on? We zoom out 10 years down the line. Who will they look at more favorably? It's probably always going to be KG, honestly, just because of how dominant he was. People spent more time hating Karl Anthony Towns, and they still do, than they ever have the inverse of that. But man, for them, the fit's weird because, okay, so they get Julius Randle. That's the other piece of this that I'm just like completely avoiding. They get Julius Randle, which makes sense because from the Knicks' point of view, sneaky like the odd man out this year. Like going into this season, you were kind of like, so what's Julius Randle's deal? Because they were pretty successful without him last year, and it kind of made you scratch your head and realize like, they don't really need him, right? And I think we've maybe not been too kind to him on this program. That guy's a bona fide 20 points a game at a minimum. He's no scrub. As much as we like to make fun of like his jab steps, like just jabbing until there's like a dead spot in the fucking court. I'm wondering though how that works in Minnesota, because part of the problem, if you're not just talking about the money side of things, which Julius Randle, he doesn't make as much money as Karl Anthony Towns, I don't even think it's even close. Does he make like $12 million less? Okay, all right. But it wasn't like a too many mouths to feed problem with them. But I'm also like, Julius Randle is still going to eat the same. Maybe I should just look at their volume right now. That would be, because this is just coming to me in real time. Where it's like, I just don't know if that's okay, so what don't I like about this? Because all the things we've said so far are things that make sense for both sides here. Like on paper, you're like, this trade fucking rules. Like there's star power in here, and it actually kind of makes sense for both sides. Although I'm not totally sure that it does. Is it a bad omen that Leon Rose broke up the Nova Knicks before we even got to see them play a single game? Because the other piece of this, while we were forgetting to mention Julius Randle, is that Dante DiVincenzo, a sneaky journeyman at this point, Milwaukee, Golden State, Sacramento, New York, and now he's in damn Minnesota. Whoa, he's not been in the NBA for that long. He's already played for, what did I just list, 5, 6 NBA teams? And he's like good. Like he's fucking awesome. He's like a 40% three-point shooter. Went on a tear at the tail end, like post All-Star break. Dante DiVincenzo last year was like 20 points a game. Like he fucking ruled. And we were having this like cathartic moment with him where we're like, what if this is just like who he is? What if this is just, he went to this like Chris Middleton school of getting motherfucking buckets, and he kind of gets like unlocked playing alongside a Jaylen Brown type character? I don't know. But the Nova Knicks are no more. Now, they still have a lot of them. They still have like most of them. But doesn't that kind of stink? The way that I'm rationalizing it in my head is that Leon Rose has done seemingly a flawless job rebuilding these Knicks. And having this return to cultural relevance. It wasn't good for the NBA that not just one of their most recognizable brands, not just one of the most recognizable brands in America, but in the entire world, like stunk. Like wasn't really good ever. I mean, if we're being honest, historically speaking, the Knicks have been what? Fine? Like the last championship was what, 50 years ago? And what did we have since then? They were fun in the 90s, but they didn't do that. They didn't win. They damn near won as much in the 90s as they did with Carmelo, which that's not even true. Or like what the Knicks kind of did this year. Like, I don't know. Like it was just like they were fun and they were relevant, but it didn't ever amount to anything. And then they make this trade for Carmelo, which was like earth shattering. There was a lot of people who were trying to do oh, which was bigger, the Karl Anthony Towns or Carmelo Anthony from Denver? Huh? You're like, what? Were you alive for that? Don't talk about this then. You weren't? Okay, yeah. It's not even the same thing. Carmelo Anthony to the Knicks was like, if Karl Anthony, I'm sorry, did I say Carmelo Anthony, Karl Anthony Towns? If Karl Anthony Towns to the Knicks is globe shattering, I mean like on an axle, like a spinning globe that you see in a history class, and you spin it, and you're like, wherever I land my finger, that's where I have to vacation, like that kind of globe. Then Carmelo Anthony was like actual world shattering, like actual globe on an actual axis shattering. You know what I mean? It's apples and oranges. It's not even the same thing. I'm fighting ghosts here. I'm just a complete straw man. Well, no, it's not a straw man. This was a conversation that people were having on Reddit. They didn't really do anything, and like, so that was fun. And like Carmelo Anthony, you could argue, was like the perfect star. I would say superstar. Some people, there's been a lot of revisionist history on Carmelo Anthony that I have not loved, because as somebody who, when I tune into an NBA game, I don't really care about watching back screens and highway screens and shit. I just want to go watch a guy get buckets and like jump really high and like do some cool stuff like with the ball. That's it. And guess what? That's what Carmelo Anthony was for like 15 years. That's all that he was. Olympic Melo, one of the greatest international basketball players of all time. Better than international Patty Mills. In a vacuum, if you are unfamiliar with international play, you're going to hear international Patty Mills. The fuck? No, man. Because if who he was in FIBA in the Olympics was who he actually was in the NBA, Patty Mills would be one of the 75 greatest players in the NBA. I'm saying, like, what? He was so good. Well, not was. He still is. He was good this year, too. Australia, just as a team, stunk. Except Josh Giddey kind of ruled. He and Patty Mills had a game where they combined for damn near 50 points. I think it was 52. Josh Giddey's got like 26, and you're rubbing your eyes like a damn Looney Tunes character. You're like, what? You're like, huh? All right. And then Carmelo, the band breaks up there. Like we talked about with Karl Anthony Towns in Minnesota, the divorce just has to happen eventually. The whole Phil Jackson thing in New York, trying to do this triangle offense. It's like, you don't have a Kobe and you don't have a Michael. Like, this isn't going to work. You can't do this, right? Melo leaves, and the Knicks are just bad for a few years. Like, they stink. It was like didn't it kind of coincide timeline-wise with when the Lakers were awful? Like, just horrible. It was a bunch of kids and like Timofey Mozgov and Jordan Hill. You're like, what is this? And having both of those brands suck at the same time is crazy. But then Leon Rose takes over the team, and it's like, he's like, for real? And he's like, serious? They go after a guy in free agency, and more often than not, you're like, oh shit, wow, that kind of rules. They do one of those like cosmetic trades at the end of December where it's like guys on the margins, but it's just for depth in like the playoffs, the late season stretches. You're like, whoa, that kind of rules. They do something crazy. They go after Jalen Brunson. And it's like, oh my God. Oh, okay, so they're taking this seriously. We could do this all day, right? The Mikal Bridges thing. And now the Karl Anthony Towns thing. You wonder how he looks alongside a guy like a Jalen Brunson. We've never really seen Karl Anthony Towns. Now, I don't know what the pecking order here is going to look like, honestly. Off the top of my head, I don't even really want to try to do it because I don't think I'll do a sufficient job of it. But it's probably fair to say that we will see a version of Karl Anthony Towns that we've not seen before. I think it's interesting that for somebody who is as reverse inclined defensively as Karl Anthony Towns is, whether it's, I don't know what his vehicle is, if he doesn't care or if he just stinks at it. I think it's mainly the former. You watched the Charlotte game when he was like chasing 70 and he ended up getting benched because he was just letting dudes blow by him. Like, he doesn't want to play defense. And I don't know. Because you're going to put him up against the Embiids of the world. He's probably going to get smacked around. That'd be interesting to look at, actually, if on Basketball Reference. There's another thing. The head-to-head between Karl Anthony Towns and Joel Embiid. Because I don't imagine there's been that many matchups. They play each other at most twice a year. With how many games Embiid misses, it wouldn't be, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you told me, no, they've only actually played each other like 5 times ever. I don't know. This rules. I'm bummed about the Nova Knicks. I think a lot of you out there probably are. I think this just rules. The first round pick that got sent out of New York and went Minnesota's way is actually Detroit's. And if I'm not mistaken, we've been kicking the can down the road on the protections for that thing for like 3 years at this point. Someone can correct me on this. I'm pretty sure that first got sent to the Knicks in the Isaiah Stewart trade on draft night, which is how we ended up with him. I'm pretty sure that's how that happened. And so however long he's been in the damn NBA, what is this, like year 5? Maybe year 4. Yes, year 4 for Isaiah Stewart. The protections on that pick still haven't conveyed. That's how bad the Pistons have been. And over the next 3 years, it's like top 16 protected, top 9 protected, and then like top 7 protected. I'd like to think that we'll be good by 2027, and that it being top 7, we'll lose our first round pick that year, and then we'll realize, damn, that was from the Isaiah Stewart trade. At that point, it'll have been like 8 years ago. You're like, what? You're like, huh? The protections can roll for this long, or we'll suck forever, and we'll just always that pick will never convey, and then the Knicks, in some compensatory fashion, the NBA will shill out like a second-round pick or something. I don't know. Maybe a team tampers and gets their pick taken away, and the NBA is just like, how does that work, actually, if it doesn't convey? You don't just get second-round picks. This isn't the NFL, and they don't do compensatory shit. Do you just get, like, money? You think maybe that's what it is? I know what it is. I just can't think of it right now. There is, like, a thing that is worked out. I don't know. Hey, we did get an email about this. Well, we got a lot of emails about the Karl-Anthony Towns stuff, but there was one specifically that I really wanted to read before all of this even happened. But then I wasn't recording a show because I was on vacation. And then you'll see how this goes. But what I want to say is the essence of this show is that it's the coping hour. You guys send in your problems, whether they're real world or, more importantly, and what the actual point is, about sports. When you're just like in the mud, and we try to put our hats on and like get in the trust tree with you, get in the trenches and say, we're here for you, brother. Like, that's what we do around here. This guy's fucked, though. It's rare that I'm just like, this guy's fucked. I'm kind of teasing, but you guys will see where we're going. And I just really want to read an email from a guy who I got nothing for him because this sucks so bad. Yes, it is about what it is. I'm not like segueing. We're still on the Knicks, okay? copingoursubs@gmail.com, spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. This one comes into us from Andrew. Andrew, welcome to the show. Subject line, how to reconcile with college players going to rival teams. Nick, viewer of unknowable duration, emailer of incomprehensible figure here with a question/experience that is by no means unique, but it's one that I don't think you've touched on before. I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, one of the 5 that exist. We meet weekly to discuss our network of bots on Twitter that we keep running as a ruse to make it look like the team has a fan base. But in reality, it's just the 5 of us to break the email. That was funny the first time I read that. A little nasal exhale. It was funny. I'm also a Villanova basketball fan. I was there to watch them win a national championship back in 2018. Getting to watch guys that I technically went to school with and graduate with and enter the league is one of the best parts of being a college sports fan. You guys might see where this one's going. Unfortunately, these guys all eventually found a home on a team that I, capital H, hate. These are my special boys, my little men who I had classes with, who I would occasionally chat with, who I had group projects with, and of course did all the work for. Let's be honest here. That's valid. Respect that, though. They won you a national championship. You can't do their fucking econ project. Like, what? You did the right thing. Back to the email. What doesn't help us is the way that Mikal left the Nets last year. I can't fault him for acting chummy after the game with his guys on the Knicks after a big loss. They're 6th in a row to them specifically because they're his actual because they're his actual friends. Still, it felt bad to watch him dunk on the Barclays fans and offer no pushback on the Roommates podcast as they shat on the fan base. Clearly, he didn't want to be a Net. Quick diversion. This is going to be too off the point. This is too off the beaten path. This is a long email. I want to stick with it. Back to the point. I will always root for Villanova guys to find success in the league. How can I best reconcile the dichotomy between wanting them to have as much fun, be the best of friends, be a great NBA storyline, and find individual success, while also wanting the Knicks to lose approximately 82 games a year, every year, forever and ever? I'll do this. Obligatory NFL take as well. I fear Malik Neighbors is too good and too fast, and will make Daniel Jones look slightly too good as well. I'm scared DJ will trick management into giving him yet another year instead of starting over, solely because of the talent. Neighbors made it easier for him when in reality he didn't get any better. I don't know. Did the Giants play today? I wasn't able to watch any of the games today. What we've seen from them so far is that I think maybe Malik Neighbors is too fast for him. I think Malik Neighbors is actually so good that he's making it clear. It's such a weird, it's like when the Dems, you have to do presidential debates, but there was like this soft word out there that they were trying to push Joe out of the presidency. And then this debate rolls around. They finally get it scheduled, and they're like, Joe, like, you're going out there. And the soft conspiracy is that they knew that he was going to look fucking bad. Maybe they badly advised him ahead of time. They over-prepared him. I don't know what it was, but he looked bad. It was rough. And then it was like a week later that they were like, yeah, he's not going to be the president anymore. And it was like the Dems got their way. Do you wonder if we're going behind the scenes of the Giants? Did they draft Malik Neighbors because he's so good that it will make the entire world realize that Daniel Jones actually sucks? We're paying him all this money. Hey, we have to keep him out there. It's kind of like the same damn thing with Deshaun Watson, honestly, with the Browns. He's actually had kind of some moments as the season's progressed, which fucking sucks. But like his week 1 performance was so bad that you were like, are the Browns trying to convince? They don't need to convince. Let's stick on the Giants. Are the Giants trying to convince the public that like, hey, what are we supposed to do? Daniel Jones, look how bad he is. Our receivers are too good. And he can't throw the ball. I'm losing myself. Let's get to your actual email. Because you're fucked. I got nothing for you. I have nothing. It's one thing when it's one guy, right? When it's one player that you loved in college goes to a team that you hate. Because you can get over it and just like root for the guy. You know, I do it all the time. Like Kirk Cousins being the Vikings quarterback. That was hard for me. Kirk Cousins was like a childhood quarterback for me. I was like 10 years old. Kirk Cousins was my life. And then eventually, you know, he's playing for the Vikings, and it's like, I want to kill him every single week. But you know what I mean? But it's one guy. Like, I can root for him. It's okay. The reason I don't have anything for you is because what happens when it's the whole team? What are there, 15 guys on an NBA roster? What happens when, like, 30% of the roster is just guys that you went to school with? You're fucked. Because rooting for them on an individual basis just ends up meaning that you're rooting for the Knicks starting 5 every time that they're out there. Whoops. You know what I mean? If anybody's got anything for them, please. But until then, I just thought that was... if you're watching this on video, there's a fly that keeps running into the camera. And it's really... If you're not watching this, don't go back and look at it because it's really distracting and it's pissing me off. Let's get back to the show. The other thing that happened that I didn't get a chance to say anything about. Zach Lowe. Laid off by ESPN. What? Now, I don't know if me being on vacation, you know, there was more transparent communication on what actually occurred here. Clearly, it wasn't amicable. I mean, the communication was that he was laid off. They've been doing a lot of cuts. RG3 got laid off. Sam Ponder got laid off. Like, they've been doing this for a while. People have been on the chopping block at ESPN for like 2 years now. And so, unless I'm missing something, I can only go into conspiracy mode about this. It's not so much conspiracy as much as it's not at all. It's me just trying to get behind the scenes in maybe some executives' heads. Like, what's the strategy? So what's the play here? So they lose Woj. And this report comes out that Stephen A. wants like $100 million over 5 years. Like, he wants a supermax, okay, with like major protections, okay. And then they let go Zach Lowe. Unintentional rhyme, I do that from time to time. Dr. Seuss in this news. And you're just kind of scratching your head. Like, are they clearing cap space for Shams? Is that what they're doing? Is he going to be their new guy, their new correspondent? I guess. That was the other piece of the Karl Anthony Towns thing, honestly. People were like, oh, our first major trade without Woj. At first, I found that commentary to be really annoying because I was like, and guess what? You still found out just as fast. You know, information travels really quickly in the 21st century. In 2024, we can learn things. Like, it wasn't, I mean, maybe it's fractions of seconds. I just thought it was kind of dumb. But then I started to unpack it a little bit, and I was like, what's the root of that behavior and, like, that take? Like, what gets somebody to say that? And I think it's because as it's not really just NBA fans, but just for all intents and purposes, we're talking about Woj, right? Part of being an NBA fan and being online is seeing those bombshells happen in real time, and it's like very much part of the experience. It's part of the process of being a fan, is getting informed about this drama in the way that we receive the information. Does that make sense? And so when you finally have something like this happen again, you know, a week or two after Woj hangs him up, and for him to not be the one to communicate it to us, I guess I can understand, like, whoa, like, it's I mean, it's not like he broke everything. You know, a lot of the times it would, you know, Shams would scoop him or whoever it was. I don't know. I don't really need to. Let me get back on the road here. So Zach Lowe is laid off. Not sure what's going to be next for him. But what I think is clear at ESPN is that they're valuing hyperbole. I think the people that you will be seeing on, because it's now the other piece, as a writer, print is just a dead medium. Journalism is dead, not dead. It's so annoying if I'm like, journalism is dead. It's not, but it's the sector is in a difficult position right now. And so as talented as he was in that department too, that's a hit. I would imagine the numbers have decreased significantly, but like his pod numbers were great. His show was awesome. Because what I appreciate about him, in contrast to a lot of the anchors that we have on ESPN right now, is that he wasn't trying to sell me on his takes. His whole deal wasn't trying to convince me that he's right. It's not about the take, it's that I'm right because I'm the one that's delivering it. You know, when he actually does get in the weeds and he talks to these he talks to these players and these coaches and does interviews with people who are actually attached to the teams themselves. And he'll talk about things in an analytical way that isn't hard to digest. Like he's just talking about it and not trying to use certain language to communicate. Like, look at how much I know about this. You know what I mean? Like it was just so genuine with him and so raw. I'm saying that like he's fucking dead. The guy's gonna work for like The Ringer or something. Maybe NBC makes a weird push for him. I don't know. He's gonna be somewhere, right? So we'll hear him again. But it's like a business thing for ESPN that I'm just wondering what the motivation was. Because the antithesis of everything that I just said about Zach Lowe is what we have presented to us on not just ESPN, but all of these major networks who are covering the 4 major sports in America. It's the same guy. It's just always the same guy. The irony is, as much as I love Stephen A. Smith and think that he is such an important pillar of talking head television now, like in the last 20 years, the impact that he has had, he's kind of in some way the poster child of what I've been talking about here. And sort of what is it? Come on, Nick. I'm going to wait. I want to get this right. I don't know. I can't figure it out. He's like the image of the model. He's the fucking model, right? Nobody has been shouting more than him for the last 20 years. Nobody has been more confident that they are right about everything that they say than him. But again, with him, the reason it works is because he's fucking for real and he actually believes what he's saying. Where the nature of the beast of television, this is not a knock on it's just how it goes, man. You know, a lot of these times you'll get into a production meeting and the producers are like, anchor 1, mic 1, here's your talking point. You know, here's the subject, here's the topic, here's the segment. And then mic number 2, you're going to argue this position. And then you'll get like some research notes and some talking points and shit like that done for you, and it's your job to communicate those talking points. It's not even half the time that these guys actually believe the shit that they're saying, which isn't, again, a problem with the people themselves, but rather just this media complex and just sort of how it works, you know, the way it goes. And that's not even how it always goes, you know, even if it's only 30% of the time. Like, that's not always how it goes, but that is part of it, right? And I never felt like I was getting fed shit from Zach Lowe. I don't know. It just bums me out. It's really, really too bad. Hey, and then the other thing, folks, how about this? Since the last time we recorded, the Detroit Tigers have officially clinched a playoff berth. 3rd wildcard spot. Thank God for that rule. Holy smokes. When was that added? The 3rd wildcard team? A couple of years ago, right? Thank God for that. The Detroit Tigers are back in the playoffs for the first time in damn near 10 years. They are on the hottest run that I've probably ever seen from them in my entire life. You would have to be kind of older than me, like a lot older than me, because it definitely in my life, the last time they were this hot, what was it, like the first 40 games of the 1984 season when they were like 37-3 or whatever the fuck it was? Like, seriously, like they're good. And that's what I'm so excited about, is baseball is such a unique sport. Well, actually, you know what? I would give this to college basketball, too. College basketball is absolutely like this with March Madness. it's not even about who the best team is. Dude, you can go 123 and 40 and like lose in the NLCS like that. Like it happens all the time that the best team just gets smacked around. It's about getting hot at the right time. College basketball, again, March Madness. Dude, we see these 14 seeds go on these runs. Well, double-digit seeds go on these absurd, historic runs because it's just their shots are going in. That's it. Live by the three, die by the three, and a lot of these teams get to live by them if you make it into March. That's just how it works. Now, it is more likely that the big dog, ends up winning there. But hey, right? And for all intents and purposes. And so it's like a matter of, do we know yet officially, as of this recording, I don't think we do. Are we rooting for an AJ Hinch revenge series in the Astros? Is that who we want first? Because it's the Orioles, right? That's who the other team would be? Because they're sneaky good. They're sneaky like I don't want to fuck with them. Houston, I don't care that they ended up winning a World Series after they got outed as cheaters. And it's like, oh, well, they're redeemed now. And like, no, for the rest of my life. No. The Astros cheating scandal is more like, I just am obsessed with it. It's so funny. It's so fucking funny because it's like brilliant. It was brilliant. They just got caught doing it. It was so obvious and out in the open that you hear those sounds. It's just the nuances that like, I'm a dumb guy. I don't really watch the nuances of baseball. Like I don't really know. But for the when players are able to catch on to tipped pitches, and in the past, like the issue with the Astros cheating isn't that they were tipping pitches. It was that they were using technology to do it. I mean, they were cheating at the end of the day, and it's just, but if it's as long as you're not using technology, like it's part of the game and like it's cool, being able to pick up on that. Like if I'm a batter and hey, every time this guy throws a slurve, he like grips his hat and you see him get the tar, and I know that's his breaking ball. Like stuff like that, or he'll like he breathes weird when he's about to throw a fastball. You're like, what the fuck? Like, huh? Man, I say all that just to say I still hate the Astros, and I'm sure AJ Hinch. Maybe I don't care. Let's just move on to the next thing. Also, the fact that we have now, in my lifetime as a Tigers fan, 3 Triple Crown winners. Huh? Skubal just won the pitching Triple Crown. What? The last one was Justin Verlander, and then the one before that, Miguel Cabrera. Who, by the way, anybody who calls Miguel Rojas Miggy, jail. There's one Miggy. There will always be one Miggy for the rest of my life. Or I will be such a man. It's crazy. I was going to say such a boomer about it, but if it's 40 years from now, I'll be a zoomer about it, right? I'm going to be such a zoomer about anybody who gets called Miggy. The same way that people like my age, going back to Carmelo Anthony, when LaMelo came into the league, it was like, oh, well, he can't be Melo because we already had one, so he can be LaMelo. But like, thanks. You're like, okay. I'm excited. And it's, man, I'm, again, not a baseball guy, and I don't like talking about something that I'm not that tuned into. It's just more about my connection to Detroit sports, which, by the way, it's not that crazy because they sucked a month and a half ago. They were sellers at the trade deadline. Javi Baez gets hurt, like, as soon as this run technically started, I believe. As of I think it was August 11th, the Tigers had a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs. Huh? They were 500 to 1 to win the World Series. It's a long shot. As of today, they're in the playoffs, and they are 30 to 1. Whoops. 30 to 1. And so for me, it's more about, I would love to, I just don't know. I want to talk about the pitching. AJ Hinch is like doing playoff shit before the playoffs even start. I sneaky love the MLB playoffs, how it's like 6 pitchers in a game. Some dudes will just get to face like 2 batters, and it's about optimizing your rotation in the best way possible. And that's so interesting to me. And so AJ Hinch has just been doing that. I was watching the Orioles game that we were playing a couple of weeks ago, maybe like a week or two at this point. And dog, whoever it was that was starting, he had let up 2 runs in the first. It was 1 home run. He's out in the next inning. And then whoever it was that came out of the pen to start the inning, boom, leadoff home run. Bottom of the second. You're like, whoa, AJ Hinch dead. Like if you're not producing, you're not performing, you're out of there. It's awesome. It rules. The Tigers sneaky have like the best pitching in baseball right now. Are we looking down again, it's about getting hot. Folks, the Tigers are hot right now. Are we staring down? I'm just a spectator. I don't know. Truly, I don't know. Is it going to happen? Are the Dodgers going to lose to the Tigers? I'm just asking. I don't know. I'm just asking. On the Motown Noah 2024 bingo sheet, there are two Dodgers-related ones. One, Shohei Ohtani hits for 450 total bases. The playoffs included. We learned that those do count because they did for Rogers Hornsby the last time this happened in 1922, which is what the actual card is that he does something that nothing's been done since 1922. That's what we're tracking. But the other one is that the Dodgers don't win a World Series. Do not let it be at the motherfucking hands of the Detroit Tigers, folks. I haven't witnessed a championship since 2008, period, across the board. I am not a Michigan fan. What's funny is didn't they cheat for the basketball one too? Didn't they get that vacated? Am I wrong? I swear they got that vacated. Am I thinking of Louisville? Wait. Did Michigan... Whoa, Mandela effect. Louisville beat them, right? Hold on. It all stays in the show. Michigan, because I just don't want to get this wrong. Basketball, natty. They beat Louisville that year. They 100% did. Has Michigan ever won a national championship in basketball? No, their last one was 1989. They were runners-up in 2013 and 2018. It was motherfucking Dante DiVincenzo winking at the camera in the national championship game. Brother, it was who this guy was. Wow! My son is asleep. Holy shit, I need to chill. Brother, it was Andrew, right, that was emailing in about the Nova Knicks and how he's like, fuck, like, but these guys gave me a national championship. And he's like doing his econ project. And I'm like, yeah, brother, he won you a national championship. It was against Michigan. It was Dante DiVincenzo winking at the camera. I hated that fucking guy. Dude, I couldn't stand him during March Madness. I also don't like, what's his name? Jay Wright. I'm just not a Jay Wright guy. I hated Dante DiVincenzo, the wink in the camera, because he was beating the shit out of Michigan. I was so sold. And then he went to Milwaukee, and that was at the point that I was kind of like, hey, what about Milwaukee? Like, I was kind of like, I had my eye on other prospects. I was like, I was like the boyfriend looking at another girlfriend disgusted meme. And the guy was me. This is a verbal meme. The guy was me. The girlfriend was the Pistons. And then the other girl was the Milwaukee Bucks. I was doing a brain exercise. I was doing a mental exercise in the car. So the whole drive, I was just sitting in the back with my son, and Maddie was driving. I was doing a mental exercise. And I was like, okay, 2014, 2015. David Stern retires. Deputy Commissioner Adam Silver is about to take the crown. New sheriff in town. Unintentional rhyme. I do that from time to time. Dr. Seuss in this news. But in a separate sector in the political landscape, Congressman Bernie Sanders is like, I think my chances at winning presidency are slim. And he has the foresight to just get out of there, like, immediately. And he says, I need to move to a different medium. I'm going to throw my hat in the ring for the commissioner of the NBA. And he wins it. Okay, so what does it look like? What does a commissionership look like from Bernie Sanders? That was what the mental exercise was. And I was like, okay, so what was the first thing that Adam Silver had to do when he was in the chair? Because the timeline would have been the same on this. It happened immediately after Adam Silver took over. It happened in, February? And then by March, Donald Sterling was like, and you and don't game. And he was like saying insane shit. What would Bernie Sanders have done? Okay, all right. Well, he probably would have been like, Commissioner Sanders, Donald Sterling, huge fucking racist, like wildly racist. What are we going to do about this? That's a great question. I'm glad you asked. There is no room for bigotry in this league. This association has zero tolerance. But more importantly, these fat cats and these bankers on Wall Street are corrupt. They're lining their pockets with your money. They're charging 2%. They get 1%. They get an APR. They cash in an IRA. they're lining their pockets and they're laughing to the bank. It's probably the first issue. And then I was like, so what are the other things that kind of plagued the NBA? Gun stuff? Like, there was like one guy who just couldn't stop. There was like one guy who was like, I fucking love guns. Fuck. I need to show the internet. I fucking need to show them how much I fucking love guns. And the NBA was like, chill. The fuck? And then John Morant was like, for sure. And then like 3 weeks later, he was like, fuck. I love guns. I need to show the internet again. I don't think they got it. I don't know if they got it. That I'm John Morant. I'm the point guard for the Grizzlies. I play in the NBA. And I fucking love guns. And the NBA was like, brother, stop. You're like a dude in the league. Like a real dude. Capital D dude. All right? You're one of our guys. Can you fucking stop? We get it. You like guns, but like just chill. Be responsible. And John Morant is like, you know what, man? Loud and clear. You guys are right. I need to relax. I need to dial it back. And then somebody on Twitter is like, John Morant, you're a pussy. Or whatever they said. And John Morant is like, it's free to see how hollows feel. I fucking love guns. Have I mentioned that before? Have I ever told you guys that? I fucking love guns. I'm still John Morant, by the way. I'm still a point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. But that doesn't mean I can't love guns. Which, by the way, I really do. The NBA said, all right, dude, you're going to go away for a little bit. You're going to fucking chill. Like, it really just, like, lock in. Like, take some ayahuasca. We'll get you in contact with a guy. He just moved. He's in New York, upstate New York now. No, he's in fucking Manhattan, or technically playing in East Rutherford. But he loves ayahuasca. And he might love guns, too. I don't know. Also, he needs to come out of the closet and get it over with already. Jesus Christ. So they're like, John Morant, chill. And then didn't he post I'm running this into the ground, but didn't he end up posting about guns again? I'm pretty sure he did. Let me get back on the road for a second. Yeah, shout out to Jack. copingoursubs@gmail.com. Spelled phonetically. Email available in the description wherever it is that you listen to this program. Jack sent in 4 emails in like an hour. And the first one was, hey, man, I've never emailed into the show before, but I think it was maybe the cat trade that sparked this. A lot of emails about that, but I just knew I had a lot of takes I needed to get out. So good, all good emails, though. Jack ends up sending in like just a bunch of different takes. And then by the end of it, I was just like, I've really appreciated this stream of consciousness that you've just let play out in my emails. And I'm reading them in real time because I think we were traveling or something. And so I'm just like reading them in real time. And I just appreciate it. So, Jack, thank you for that. Subject line, reaction to Kenny. Oh, reaction to Kenny for real, Charlotte video, a.k.a. King of the Fourth Quarter. I'm back. As a Detroit Pistons fan by association, I had to send in yet another email. Kenny has bought all of the stock of the Charlotte Hornets, which is irrelevant, but within the video, he dismisses the Pistons. Watch this space. Pistons are a play-in team this year. The only things Cade was missing was the ability to finish at the rim and some legitimate spacing instead of a bunch of high jumpers and sprinters cosplaying as NBA players. Pistons play-in push is real. Having actual vets in that locker room is going to be incredible without even including the spacing they'll provide, which is something Charlotte doesn't have. Pencil it in now. You heard it here first. Love the ambition here. Absolutely love the ambition. The Charlotte thing is contingent on something that Jacob, a.k.a. Rusty Buckets, has been talking a lot about recently, is I can say what I want about John Morant, but there's a dude who you forget, like, you just forget how good he is because he's been gone for so long and we just haven't seen him, you know? It's like the Aaron Rodgers effect. Now he's just old as fuck, but you know what I mean. The other guy, though, is LaMelo Ball. You forget that he fucking rules, like an all-star, like actually awesome and was really good, like immediately. Well, he just doesn't play in games. So maybe if we can get another season of him playing even like 60 games, doesn't even have to qualify for any awards, but just like even 60, I think we would see a Charlotte team that might fucking rule. Like an awesome orchestrator, it's so jarring to me still how big he is. Like to me, truly, like Chino Hills LaMelo is like who he still is in my head. And I remember, what was it? Did he play for Spire Academy before going to Lithuania, or was it the other way around? I think it was like was playing at Spire Academy and like he shaved his head and you were like, wow, okay, he's like 6 foot now. Like that's cool. Like he's all right. That's nice. And then he goes to Lithuania and we kind of don't see him for a while. And like eventually they start pumping out all of these like Ball in the Family episodes. That show ruled. That show absolutely ruled. Such good television, that family, honestly. To this day, Leangelo is still my guy because he's ruled in the show. He was just hilarious. They all were though. It was awesome. It was so compelling. But he shows up and the motherfucker's like 6'7". You're like, whoa. He's like 18. Like, whoa. What happened? He's awesome, man. Like, he rules. Brandon Miller. Take detector, take it out. Boop, 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 boop. Think about all the rookies in the NBA last year. You're immediately going to be like Victor Wembanyama. Okay, well, let's start the mental exercise with him. Someone's going to have the sophomore slump, as they say. It's going to happen to someone. Who's it going to be? It's got to happen to someone. Is it going to happen to Victor Wembanyama? No. It's really not. It's really not. I am curious when, ESPN and Bleacher Report start doing these, like, countdowns. I guess they kind of already started, some of them. But these major publications are like, here's the top 100 players in the league. What's the average going to be for Victor Wembanyama going into the season? 15? Average? 15 average, do you think? Is that too low? Is that too high? Let's get a cultural temperature check on that one. But at sophomore slump, no, it's not going to happen. It just sounds right that it might be Brandon Miller, who again ruled to close out the season. Especially, wasn't post All-Star break him too? Him and like we talked about Dante DiVincenzo earlier. I guess Brandon Miller was good at this too. So is Jalen Green, by the way. We talked about it. He's a March merchant. And I don't mean that you talk about getting hot at the right time. Boom. Tie it all back together. It's March Madness, baseball, and Jalen Green. Because eventually that's going to matter for Houston. It might be this year. Houston might be good this year. And if the guy who they selected number 2, we talked about a guy, hey, expectations for a guy who was recently drafted number 2 and Anthony Edwards, it's different between him and Jalen Green. Like way different. Like it's not even in the same skyscraper, Jalen Green's in the parking garage. And fucking Anthony Edwards is in the penthouse, like waiting for his helicopter to a higher, to like a higher skyscraper. Jalen Green is like on the 3rd level being like, how the fuck do I get out of here? Where's the exit? But in March, he gets really close. In March, he gets to like, there's a valet, but he's like, no, you have to turn around. It's like, it's right behind you, but you have to turn around. But you're in this really tight space. You're like, fuck. And it's like, is he going to turn around in time before a different car comes? And that car is like, does Tari Eason fuck with the Warriors and wear a stupid fucking t-shirt where he's like, Warriors come out to play while he's sitting on the bench, by the way? His ass gets fucking handed to him from the bench. He didn't play the whole game. He was eating fucking Snickers on the bench. Oh, okay. So if that doesn't happen and Jalen Green actually gets, what does he look like in April? Oh, is that scary? Is it scary hours? I think didn't they play a few games in April and it was like, oh, he sucked? Didn't that happen? I think maybe it was because by that point their season was over and it was like, okay, what the fuck ever. So at least Jalen, what does that say? What does that say about him? What does that say? I don't know. I don't know what that says. Hey, we're going to wrap up today's show with a brief recap of how this weekend went. Because it was awesome. It was awesome to go home. And it was really, really nice to see everybody. And we stayed with Maddie's family. And then the meat and potatoes of what I want to get to here, because all the other stuff is sort of just, stuff that it was just nice to have some relief. And I think it was just awesome to see everybody. So we go to the Michigan State game on Saturday. Michigan State, Ohio State. And we tailgated like the whole day. And it ruled. It ruled. Because I haven't been to a Michigan State game since 2015 against Air Force. And it like didn't really, I always knew that, like I've always known that, but to me, it's like 2018. Like I'm saying, like 2015 just doesn't feel that long ago. Like it feels like, oh, it was just a couple years ago. It was 9 years ago. It's 9 years ago, which is wild because it's like a real inner child experience for me. And to get to go back and also do like a tailgating thing, because I've never done that before. Like we just never did that. When we went to the game, we just got there like when it was time to get there, and then we just went right to it, Also because like we were kids, like we weren't I've never gotten to do like the whole like just like drink beer at like 1 o'clock and like watch football and like play football. That fucking rules. And then you go to a football game, that fucking rules. That's awesome. Like I would pay $80,000 a year just to do that. The fuck? Yes, absolutely. That ruled. And so my brother-in-law and I, were we were playing catch. We were slinging it around. And it was like the second he grabbed it, we hadn't even communicated that we were about to play catch, but I got up and just like stuck my hands out like this. And it was like such a caveman, like primitive response from me that I saw a guy pick up a football and I was like, I gotta catch him. I gotta run a route. I gotta run a fucking 3-yard slant like right now. Like fucking hit me. I'm wide over the middle. We're like punting and shit. I fuck up my ankle like immediately, like literally immediately. And then since then I woke up this morning, this like the sorest I've been probably ever. And I hadn't like moved around like at all. I'm like kind of active. Like I take my son on walks, but like that's it. I don't like do any like actual at homes. Like that's it. I kind of get some cardio in like a little bit. Sometimes I go on bike rides and it's like, okay, like I get a lot of energy out then. And then like, yeah, my thighs are sore, like whatever. It's an electric bike. So like I don't have to pedal that hard and I'm going like 40 miles an hour. I did finally get to ride the scooters here in Chicago. I've like never wanted to do it. I just don't like them. I don't know. They just make me nervous. A bike, I just have so much control over. The scooters, I've just been worried about the stability of it. And the suspension sucks. So, there are a ton of potholes and whatnot. And it just, I don't know. It just made me nervous. It is nice because you literally don't do anything. You don't like move at all. You literally don't fucking move at all. Because that's the other, they go like 15 miles an hour. I'm like, brother, I'm on fucking State Street. Cars are going like 35 miles an hour. Like, I'm like trying not to die on this thing. An electric bike, I can zoom. Dog, I'm going 40 miles an hour. But you literally just stand there and like pull the thing. That's it. And then you move. That's it. You just stand there. And you're just kind of like, oh, this is nice. It's like I'm on like an electric donkey or something. I don't know. That's kind of just what it felt like. So that was fun. We finally get to the game. Now, a couple of you guys, one guy specifically, had emailed in telling me that you were going to be at the game. And we're like, oh, like, some of you were like, oh, is it cool if I ask for a picture? Yeah. Like, I was like, I emailed one of you back. I was like, yeah. Like, my problem isn't people asking me for pictures. It's taking pictures of me and then being like, was so cool to see you. And I'm like, it's like a candid of me? I'm like, huh? Like, don't do that. So we sit down and I had said to my girlfriend, I was like, it would do a lot for my ego if one of you guys bumped into me in front of my in-laws, because that's who I was at the game with. Maddie took our son back to her mom's. And so it was just me and the in-laws. And I was like, it would, you know what I mean? Because I know what my father-in-law thinks of what I do. And I think he thinks it's pretty fucking dumb, because I was trying to explain it to him in the car last night, and it went weird. And it was my fault because I think I just over communicated. And like, I don't know. I felt bad. I don't know. So it meant a lot to me when right before the game kicks off, I get a tap on my shoulder and I hear Nick. And brother, we got an email. From a guy that I was sitting right in front of at this game. And he could not have been nicer. Like, could not have been just the coolest guy. Him and his friend listened to the Bun and Cardigan show too. We talked a little bit about that. And let's get into this email. Took a great picture. We look fucking dynamite in this picture. I'm not going to show it. Because I didn't consult him on this. I'm sure, Ben, you'll hear this and be like, oh, no, dude, like, that's fucking fine. Like, show the picture. I'm just, I'm not, just ethically, I'm not going to do that. But the other reason that I can't do this, and I'm not insecure about this, I just wanted to give you guys valid reasons as to why I'm not showing the picture. I'm not insecure. It's just I wanted to say it. He was standing like a 1 step and 2 steps higher than me. And I was standing 1 step and 2 steps lower than him. So if I showed the picture, I would look like a really short guy. And to be fair to him, Ben, you were a tall guy. Even though you were just sitting down, and we never got to stand level next to each other, by the way, which is what the picture would illustrate if I did show it, which I'm not. But the optics of it were just, they made me uncomfortable. But I say all that just to say, we look fucking awesome in this picture, and I'm so glad you sent this to me. So thank you so much for this, dude. From Ben, it was so cool meeting you and watching the Michigan State game with you yesterday. Listening to your pods has been a part of my weekly routine for years now. Oh, fuck, I should have asked if this was cool to read on the show. Is this intimate? I mean, it is. I read it, but it's just kind, and I just wanted to. I'm honest to God, I'm selling you guys on me with this email. Seriously, this is a review. This is a Yelp of meeting me in real life. I promise I'm approachable. I promise I'm a nice guy. Please ask me for pictures. It will, especially if it's in front of my in-laws. I cannot describe to you my mother-in-law and we go down at halftime. And Ben, we will get back to the email. We will read it. But my mother-in-law, we go down, and she immediately was like, there's the fucking fly again. There it is. I gotta be like James Bond with the fly. Maybe I could give it a damn pager. Hey, fly, land on this walkie-talkie for no reason at all. Hey, what, beep, beep, beep. Hey, can you check my pager real quick? Fly, set it over here, set it out on the balcony, which we have 2 of, by the way. Just one, which we have 2 of. So which one would I want to put it on? Maybe I'd put a pager out on one and a walkie-talkie out on the other one, wherever the fly lands. She was like, oh, is that somebody who like listens to your show? I was like, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yeah. Oh, that guy? Yeah, it was. Yeah. She's like, wow, like that must have been so cool. I was like, oh yeah, yeah, it happens a lot, actually. It happens like way more than you would think. I was like, this is like the 5th guy that's come up tonight. No, but it was awesome. I'm selling you on me. Anyways, let's just get to your take that you've included here, because this is the part that's definitely meant for the show. This may be a prisoner of the moment take, but Ohio State is supposed to be the best team that money can buy in college football this year. However, Will Howard does not look like he has enough of a big playability or is as talented enough to make his team over the top when they are playing teams like Alabama, Georgia, Texas, etc. My take is that Ohio State wants to win. If Ohio State wants to win a national championship, they would rather have Aiden Childs as their quarterback. I get that he is a turnover machine at the moment, but it feels like he is growing and developing into a quarterback who can make big-time winning plays for a team. And I don't think Will Howard is that guy. Anyways, the game was a ton of fun yesterday. I hope it didn't suck for you having to watch a game with... No, dude, none of this... No, you were fucking awesome. You were awesome. You did. I honestly... Can I be honest with you, man? I might have said something weird. I was fucked up. Oh my God, dude. Like... When I got 2 more during the third quarter, maybe it was at halftime, I got 2 more. I just shouldn't have done that. I just should not have done that. I just felt gross this morning. It wasn't like a normal hangover. Like it was just a different, and again, some of it was because of how sore we were just from like me just like running around and like going full speed, like running down like a field and throwing my, my shoulders hurt, all of it, holding my son. Like this part of my, like my chest kind of hurts. I'm just sore. My legs are fucking, my shins are sore. What bullshit feeling that is. My ankles are sore, so everything. So then also I just didn't drink any water. I didn't eat that many hot dogs, by the way. I had 5 in total. Like, that's not that many. It's a football game. Like, the fuck? Which, by the way, Ben, you left early. I didn't want to say this. I was going to give you my last hot dog, my last Kowalski, which is my favorite fucking hot dog in the world, by the way. And then you were like, "Oh no!" I was like a few minutes away from figuring out. I think I shouldn't eat this. I was gonna be like, "Hey, brother, do you want this? A Motown Noah dog, like a signature hamburger." Oh my God, the big playability is weird because their skill position guys are fucking awesome, but it's like the playmaker aspect of it, where what makes a quarterback in college really successful. You say it once, you say it a million times on this show, is your ability to be a point guard, right? The Brock Purdy's and the J.J. McCarthy's of the world. Distributing the ball to your playmakers out in space. Is Will Howard that? Yeah, I mean, sometimes. But to your point, against the big dogs. Against the Alabamas and the Georgias. Which, by the way, dude, one of the things that we said to each other, they showed the Alabama score on this, 28-0. I look back, I'm like, brother, did you see, what the fuck? Have you seen this? And have you heard about this? Georgia's getting smacked by, what, huh? So Alabama, this is just going to be forever then. Oh my God, this fucking rules. They're alive. Like, this is real. Kalen DeBoer. I say, it's to me, it's potato, but I learned it. I think it's DeBoer. Doesn't matter. Get over it. What the fuck happened in that game? Me watching Michigan, like, that game was, like, the Michigan State game was cool to be at, but the game fucking sucked. But we expected that. Like, Aiden Childs, it's like 10-7. And there's that bullshit no-call face mask. He fumbles the ball. And it was just never going to happen. Turnover machine. But, to your point, brother, Aiden Childs steps back to pass. You are either about to see the coolest fucking shit you've ever seen. Some of the plays he made against Boston College, you were like, what? You're like, huh? Rubbing your eyes like a damn Looney Tunes character? The fuck is this? Huh? Have you seen this and have you heard about this? Aiden Childs almost won that game if it just wasn't for, like, the dumb fucking turnovers, which is the only other thing that will happen when he drops back to pass. It's literally only those two things. And if Ohio State had that dynamic playmaker in the backfield, I totally agree with you, dude. It flips this thing on its head. What if they had, this is so dumb to say, but like, I don't know. It's college football. It's weird. Weird shit happens. This winter could be weird. I don't know. What if they had like Arch Manning? I don't know. What if they did? He's been fucking fun. Like, even if he's like, but like really good, he like rules. I just love watching him. And the hype, just this like moment that we're in with him feels really cool. Watching him get to play in these games. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it's just been cool. And I don't know why I'm giving Ohio State like just have Arch Manning. I should be like, what? I don't know. You guys know me. If a team's going to rule, I want them to fucking rule. Like, show me something. Set a new standard. That's what I'm rooting for, is the storyline of that success and what the ebbs and flows of it look like. The Chiefs one has been, man, people are starting to sour. People are like, it's happening. It's happening in real time. We're watching it happen. The Lord is my shepherd from Saving Private Ryan. People are oversaturated with the big three in Kansas City. Technically the big four if we're including Taylor. Right? Because just as a vehicle, they're in the same car. They're in the same car. Like, even if it's a limo and they're on different sides of it, like whatever, a big city bus, 1 floor, 2 floor, like, hey, I don't know, right? People are oversaturated with them because when they're watching football games, you're getting State Farm commercials, all this shit, Capital One fucking commercials, all of that, right? And also, people are upset about some officiating. People are questioning the fairness and the favoring of the officiating in a lot of these Chiefs games to start the season. Like, they haven't been, like, awesome. They're, like, just good. Like, they're just really fucking good. And they just kind of steal games. But, like, it does, like, it feels like, oh, is Kansas City kind of, like, not having a good game? But they just always end up fucking winning. I don't know. They just don't have the massive 42-13 games anymore. Like, that just doesn't really happen. But they're just good. And the officiating, I don't know. I think even Bill had a tweet about it where he was like, oh, the league protecting them like the 99 Knicks. I don't know. Hey, man, if the Podfather's tweeting about it off a few Michelob Ultras, because he's a light beer guy, he just is. If he's saying that, I'm going to have to believe it, right? That's gospel. It's a Sunday afternoon, and the Podfather is getting his shit off, right? Get out your fucking pen and paper, ladies and gentlemen. If you are listening to this on Spotify, be sure to rate 5 stars. If you're watching this on YouTube, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, nice little comment for the algorithm. Keep primary control in check. I will catch you guys in the next one.